Hello and welcome to Haunted Montreal's Spooky Story Sessions. I'm your host, Holly Rhiannon, and today I'm going to tell you all about MacDougall Manor. With over 500 documented ghost stories, Montreal is easily the most haunted city in Canada, if not all of North America. Here at Haunted Montreal, we're dedicated to researching these paranormal tales, and our channel brings you new videos in both French and English every second Saturday. Today, we examine the MacDougall Manor, an abandoned and allegedly haunted mansion in the heart of the Bois de Saraguay Nature Park. But before we get into today's story, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you get notified every time we have a new tale to share. And hey, if you're already subscribed, a big thank you, welcome back, it's great to see you again. Now without further ado, let's get spooky. MacDougall Manor, an exquisite gem of Montreal's architectural history, is also renowned for its spectral lore. Situated at 9095 Gowin Boulevard in the borough of Ahuntsic-Cartierville, this stately Georgian-style residence is a designated heritage building. Gracefully positioned along the banks of the Rivière des Prairies on the north shore of Montreal Island, it rests within the serene Bois de Saraguay Nature Park. Constructed in 1929 by H.C. Tommy MacDougall, who affectionately dubbed it Good Wood, the manor stands on a generous 2.7-acre plot. This elegant stone structure, surrounded by towering trees, offers a picturesque backdrop of terrace gardens carefully maintained by low stone walls that descend to the river's edge. Visitors to the MacDougall Manor are treated to sweeping vistas of the river, Île aux Chats and Île Paton, all while remaining pleasantly shielded from the bustling Gowin Boulevard by high stone walls. In the 1930s, this bucolic area was a stomping ground for rich Montreal Anglophones of British and Protestant stock. Families such as the Ogilvies, Molsons, Pattons, Galts, Redfords, and MacDougalls built sumptuous mansions in the forest overlooking the river. In order to preserve their tranquility and keep undesirables away, in 1914 these wealthy owners incorporated the area as a municipality named the Village of Saraguay. The 1921 census listed only 55 inhabitants living in the opulent village. This wealthy elite enjoyed lavish homes with magnificent gardens and opulent parties, frolicking in the river and playing polo in their private forested oasis. They all employed maids, servants, chauffeurs, and gardeners to tend to their every need and whim. One woman who lived there was Mary Dorothy Molson, daughter of Colonel Herbert Molson, president of the Molson Brewery at the time. She had married Hartland Campbell MacDougall, the son of H.C. MacDougall. In 1931, Mary Dorothy Molson's mother-in-law, Edith Redford, passed her the manor and property for only $1. Edith wanted Mary to enjoy living in the village of Saraguay in luxurious bliss with her husband. She and Mary were both avid gardeners. Today, the manor sits abandoned and is used for occasional film and television shoots. When it was used as the filming location for the popular television show La Galère on Radio-Canada, actresses reported paranormal activity. One felt an invisible force holding her arm, and another saw a strange silhouette while taking a selfie. The home is, of course, popular with various paranormal investigators, all of whom are trying to figure out who or what is haunting MacDougall Manor. The Narcity website also confirms that the building is haunted. One paranormal investigator with RIPP, named Katie Sadawi, described her visit to the home in a Prezi presentation, which is similar to PowerPoint. Carol Villeneuve from the same team also posted a YouTube video called June 8, 2012, MacDougall Manor, which we'll link down below. The paranormal investigators mention hearing a legend about why the manor is haunted. As the story goes, Mary Dorothy Molson inherited the property upon the death of her mother-in-law, Edith Redford. Mary lived happily with her husband, Hartland Campbell MacDougall, son of the original owner. However, her husband was called to fight overseas in World War II. According to the tale, Hartland was killed in the war. Upon hearing the terrible news, Mary became more and more distraught. It wasn't long before she decided to hang herself in the family home. As the RIP team entered the house, they were hit with the strong smell of perfume in the air. The author described it as smelling like the perfume of an old grandmother. They descended into the basement and sensed that a hand was holding them back from entering a room. When they pushed past it and entered, they saw the ghost of a woman crying on one of the beds in that room. After a few seconds, she disappeared. The investigators ran back upstairs as quickly as possible and bolted from the manor. After closing the door, they could hear the ghostly woman crying again, who they believe was Mary Dorothy Molson. The problem with this story is that the legend is simply not true. Firstly, Edith Reeford didn't die until August 31st, 1970, at the age of 96. Secondly, Mary Dorothy Molson sold the property in the 70s and went to live in another home on Cedar Avenue with her husband, who most certainly did not die in the war. Mary actually lived until 1992, and her husband died 5 years later in 1997. And so this leads to some further speculation on who is haunting the MacDougall Manor. The ghost of a crying woman smelling of grandmotherly perfume could be any number of suspects. Perhaps the most feasible theory is that the ghost is one of the maids who served the home. In 1946, Mary had 10 servants, including 8 maids, a gardener, and a handyman. The servants were not well treated. Indeed, according to a report by the city of Montreal, their salaries were incredibly low. Even in the late 20s, a laundress earned $1 a day. A maid received $10 to $15 a month, room and board, and had to work 15 or more hours a day. There was no paid vacation. Generally, a servant had one afternoon off a week, as well as every other Sunday. It is therefore not surprising that most prominent families had been able to afford their lifestyle. To ensure this, employers constantly consulted each other about the salaries of their servants, thus establishing a reasonable rate recognized by the whole community. While there are no records as to who these servants were, it is entirely possible that one of them had a negative or tragic experience while working for Mary Dorothy Molson and came back to haunt the manor as a result. For example, perhaps one day a maid arrived wearing smelly perfume and got fired for it, landing her in poverty. On the other hand, perhaps the paranormal perfume and ghost are not even related. It's all a matter of speculation. Today, the Lonely Manor sits in the heart of the Parc Nature du Bois de Saraguay. As the years passed, eventually the old elite began selling their properties and moving away. As mentioned earlier, Mary Dorothy Molson sold the estate in the 1970s, and in 1981 the city of Montreal acquired the property after the last of the wealthy elite had left. After a decades-long battle between environmentalists, developers, the City of Montreal, and residents, the Parc Nature du Bois de Saraguay officially opened to the public on June 2, 2016. The 93-hectare green space is the oldest forest on the island. It is home to 35 species of trees, 45 types of shrubs, 275 species of herbaceous plants, and 80 different species of birds. Perhaps, one day, through more historical research and proper paranormal investigation, the mystery of the MacDougall Manor's ghost will finally be solved. Until then, visit this abandoned manor at your own risk. So what did you think about that one? Personally, this is my favorite kind of story, that of a big old spooky house with a mysterious past. Having grown up in a potentially haunted house myself, one that was no less on a street called Elm, this kind of thing holds a special place in my spooky heart. And hello, yes, my dropping in here is a new addition to our videos. But we wanted to add something a little extra in here for you every episode, a bit of a personal opinion, a cool fact, maybe something we didn't mention in the original blog, or just, anything else related to the story we'd like to say should we have something to say. This is also going to be a place to do a little bit of housekeeping. Today, I have 2 updates for you. First, if you're located in Montreal, we really hope that you'll come out to our scheduled tours. While there are many happening through September and October, Dr. Mab and I will be dropping by one of each of the English events, and you can come along and say hi. The info is posted in our community tab as well as on Haunted Montreal socials, and our first event is actually tonight at 8:30 p.m. on the mountain. Second, I am participating in a contest called The Face of Horror. It's a bit of a commitment as it runs until early November and voting is done daily with multiple rounds. So I don't want to pester you too much, but I would love so much to win. The chances are a little bit slim because people can pay for votes, and I have seen there are quite a few rumors around about, people who have been frustrated with the process over the years, but, I decided I'd enter. I tried a couple years back, I didn't win. They invited me to come back, and why not? If I were to win, I would use the $13,000 to support independent creativity through my small press, the Stygian Society, and fund further haunted investigations for Haunted Montreal. This would allow us to publish thought-provoking fiction and explore new paranormal stories, shedding light on hidden mysteries. Investing in these areas helps foster creative voices and deepens our understanding of the supernatural, turning misfortunes into an opportunity for artistic and investigative growth. So, if you would like to help out, you've got one free vote per day, and you can also pay for votes if you'd like to give a donation to the Starlight Children's Foundation. The link will be listed, as expected, down below. Are you a Montreal resident or perhaps a tourist who has had a strange experience at the MacDougall Manor? If so, we would love to know. As always, we want to hear your theories about what could be going on. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first video, we do hope you'll stick around for the next one. We post videos in both French and English every second Saturday. If you'd like to learn more about the organization founded by the talented Donovan King, it's all listed in the description down below, along with links to purchase tickets to in-person haunted storytelling tours. Remember to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. We'll have a new video out for you in a couple weeks, but until then, stay spooky.